Then listen up. Calvin D. Johnson, attorney at law, can help you out. He's knowledgeable, passionate, and a proven defense attorney with over 15 years' experience in the criminal courts in the state of Texas. He has handled a multitude of criminal defense matters, from felonies to misdemeanors, whether DWIs, theft, drug possession, or assault cases. Calvin D. Johnson can help you ease the pain while solving and resolving the issues you're dealing with. In addition, he's a proven professional when it comes to educational law. He has handled school district board meetings, grievances, and other matters before the Texas Education Agency, having assisted hundreds of teachers with their certification-related matters. So whether educational courts or matters within the criminal courts, count on Calvin D. Johnson, attorney at law. Visit his website today, attorneycalvindjohnson@gmail.com.
Time to get back to the conversation at the Relationship Roundtable. It's the Scott Murray Show with Steve, Calvin, Trey, and Scott.
Welcome back at 5:49 is where we stand. We've got a few minutes left. We've been talking with our good friend from the IT world. We're talking about Brian Rogers, president, ACO Technologies. And during the break, we said, can you believe what's going on? We've got 3 or 4 TV monitors in here, and NFL football games are racking up, and we've been in the studio most of the day, so it's kind of tough to say what's happened and what's not happened. But, of course, as a result of President Trump's criticism of the protesting during the national anthem, incited a mass increase in such activism today. More than 100 NFL players, as last we knew, were either sitting or kneeling, others raising their fists, and whole teams stayed in the locker rooms. I think Tennessee did, Seattle did, and one team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, stayed in the locker room during the entire Star-Spangled Banner, and Mike Tomlin stood alone, the head coach, for the playing of the national anthem, as the players, as I said, stayed in the locker room. And then the Steelers head coach revealed before the game that the team would wait in the locker room until the anthem was totally done in their game against the Bears. However, there was one exception. Pittsburgh offensive lineman Alejandro Villanueva stood just outside the tunnel because Villanueva was in the Army prior to his NFL career and served in Afghanistan and felt an obligation to be out there and salute to his country and the flag. Thoughts, guys? What do you think? And, of course, you saw the comments from Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner. It's really gotten a bit out of hand, one way or the other, however you want to look at it. It's just sad that this whole scenario is taking place.
I hate it's taking place, and I'll tell you this is the issue. As an African-American, I'm tired of being painted into the whole of I'm disrespecting the flag because I'm protesting this way. That's not the deal. I think I've had several conversations with a lot of people, and sometimes I feel like people just say, yeah, but. There's no yeah, but. If I drive somewhere late at night in the state of Texas or anywhere else and I get stopped, I honestly have to worry about what I call a stop and pop. And the reason why I say that, I have law enforcement in my family. My uncle was an FBI agent. Currently, my cousin works for the DEA.
And it's important to point out that you're a criminal defense attorney.
I'm a criminal defense attorney. My Uncle Mike was a veteran in Vietnam. My grandfather's a veteran. And my concern is I think as a country we could have dealt with whatever was happening. I'm not anti-police. I mean, I got police in my family. My cousin was a police officer before he started to be a DEA agent. I want us to deal with the problem so it doesn't turn into this. I respect everybody who's given their life for what they're doing. But I think it's to a point where certain people feel like when African Americans or other people feel like, hey, this is a huge problem, we need to address it. It turns into you either back the blue or you don't back the blue. And I don't feel that way. I feel like that we should address it, improve whatever it is that needs to be improved, and we need to stick together. Because I don't want the national anthem turning into something where somebody feels like they have to kneel. The reason why people are kneeling is because they felt like they didn't have anything else or anywhere else to go to do anything that would get any attention to fix the problem. And I think for a lot of people that I talk to, this is just not my opinion. I talk to a lot of people, and I'm more in the middle. I want this national anthem to be respected. I want our country to be respected. I have veterans in my family. I have law enforcement in my family. And my Uncle Mike, I tell you to this day, he's still not right after coming back from Vietnam. He's basically lived with my grandmother his entire life because he has issues. So I definitely understand how important it is to serve in this country and respect that. But at the same time, we have some problems that we failed to fix initially, and it's turned into this. And we can't ignore those problems because it turns into this.
Trey, any thoughts?
Well, I obviously believe in someone's right to protest. I always have, but I agree with Calvin in that there may be a better way to do it, and we need to honor our veterans and honor those that have served in the military and law enforcement first and foremost. I mean, there are some bad actors there, but for the most part, they are protecting our freedoms, and I think this is disrespectful to them. But at the same time, I would fight for their right to have this type of peaceful protest.
Should we keep whole teams in the locker room during the playing of the national anthem?
Well, that was their decision to make.
Jerry Jones says anybody that doesn't stand up and salute the flag as he feels they should do, and many people feel they should do, they're off the team. If he has a Colin Kaepernick on his team, he's gone. And nobody has hired Kaepernick this year. He's without a team right now.
And I don't think that's just because of that. I think he had other issues. But yeah, it's Jerry's team, and Jerry has the right to do that.
And see, that's why
this is a right to work state.
Yeah, and as an owner team, you have the right to do that. And I think that ultimately it's turned into this. And I'll say one more thing. I think that our president has used this almost selfishly, and this is because y'all know how I feel. I think he selfishly used this to divide people. And I hate that, because the one thing that brings us together is sporting events. I mean, I don't care who you are. I can be looking at a guy, he won't say a word to me. But you put a football game on the television in front of us, we're brothers. and we don't even know each other's name. And that's what it's about. And I respect everybody. And I'll say this, and there's a lot of African Americans that feel this way. We respect everybody's fought for that flag, died for that flag, carried that flag. We do, but there's some things that are happening, and there's a lot of folks that feel like they have no other choice but to get the attention this way, and it's a shame that it came to this. We can't just say that there's a problem and ignore it. We have to fix it so it doesn't turn into this.
Think about how much sports did, though, to bring about change in this country. I mean, look at Jackie Robinson, 1947. Look at Muhammad Ali, in the 60s, early 70s. If it weren't for people like that, we wouldn't have had the civil rights movement that we had. And so, maybe that this is being called to the forefront. Maybe at the end of the day, it's not going to be a bad thing. I don't agree with how they're protesting. I don't agree with the protests, but I do agree with their right to do it. And we are creating a dialogue here.
I want to fix it so everybody's standing for the flag and saluting to that flag. I want to fix it. And I want to get back to that. And there's going to be a lot of healing in this country that's going to have to be done for us to get there. But I have every confidence that this great nation will do that.
Let me ask you this, Calvin. I've got, as you well know, I would do anything for you. But as an African American, do you feel race relations now, today, here in September 2017, are worse than when you were a little boy?
I think that they're about
or a teenager or a young man, whatever.
I think that they're about the same. And the reason why I say that is because I think there's a lot of hidden dog whistle kind of stuff that goes on. I think when people saw Obama win, they thought that the African Americans arrived, you're the president. But I think that there was just an underbubbling, undersurface of racism that was still here in this country. There's a lot of things that this country has just not dealt with. And I think that, like, for example, me. As an African American, I feel so bad that when I tell someone, hey, I'm concerned if I get stopped at night or if I'm on the wrong part of town and I'm driving back, that if something happens to me, that I can tell somebody that I talk to every day and it seems like that they don't care. And that's a lot of what happens in my mindset, because I understand. And then I'm also expecting a child, so I'm bringing a daughter into this world. So it's my responsibility to make sure that when I bring up an issue like this, that people don't ignore it and just move on.
Well, I think if Martin Luther King were around today, I wonder what he would think of because that's when I was a little kid in '63 when, Martin Luther King is, and just even as a young boy, you go, wow, this is incredible. And and yet I see what goes on today now as an older person. It's so sad.
You know what I'll say?
I just don't get it. And I thought, this is worse than when we're doing the March on Washington with Martin Luther King, who I thought was spectacular.
But you know what I say? I feel like the people in this country, they elected Trump, and I know they were frustrated about what was happening in this country. I get it. I don't know if he's the guy, because he says stuff like SOB and he curses and he does all this stuff. And I'm sorry, religiously and and this is from what white folks have taught me, black folks have taught me, everybody that I've been around taught me, you can't do that, you shouldn't do that, should have more respect than that for this country, the people that you talk to, and I don't think that it's happening, and I think it's causing bigger problems by the day.
Well, this is a conversation maybe, guys, we can have again next week.
Most definitely.
All right, sounds good. In the meantime, we want to thank Brian Rogers, President, ACO Technologies, and for my good buddies here, my sidekicks, Calvin Johnson, Trey Harris, and Steve, who will be back in the studio next week. As we always remind you, live your life as a go-getter, but share your life as a go-giver, and be kind to one another.
Yes.
Good night, Texas.